Okay, let's unpack this. We're digging into something really significant today. Out-of-hospital cardiac arrest.
Yeah, it's a huge public health issue. We're talking hundreds of thousands of cases every year just in the U.S.
And the survival rates, frankly, are pretty grim. Often, less than 10%.
Shockingly low. And what's really caught our attention in the sources is this trend. It seems to be affecting younger people more now.
That part really stood out. It's not just an older person's issue anymore. The data, like from Chicago, showed the average age actually dropping.
Exactly. And that means more potential years of life lost. It hits home that this can happen to anyone, anywhere, really, often when people are just outliving their lives.
So as we went through the material for this deep dive, one thing just jumped out again and again. When cardiac arrest happens outside a hospital, the absolute key factor, it isn't always the ambulance arriving. It's often the person right there, the bystander. Maybe even you.
Right. And it's why that immediate action is so vital. We hear about the chain of survival, that sequence of steps.
Yeah, call 911, start CPR.
Exactly. Early recognition, the call, and then crucially immediate CPR. Without that first step, right away, even the best paramedics arriving later, well, they're fighting an uphill battle against that delay.
So that immediate action we're talking about is CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
That's the one.
And our mission here, for you listening and for us, is to really get why it's so powerful, why maybe more people aren't doing it, and what concrete things are being suggested to get more people ready to be lifesavers.
You can think of CPR as a bridge, really, a bridge to professional help.
Okay.
When the heart stops, blood flow stops instantly, especially to the brain, and brain damage starts, well, within minutes.
Very fast.
Yeah. So CPR, even if it's not perfect, just manually pushing on the chest helps circulate some oxygenated blood. It buys that incredibly precious time.
And the numbers we saw on its impact, just staggering.
Absolutely. Getting CPR right away can literally double, maybe even triple someone's chances of survival.
We saw data showing survival rates jump way higher than that baseline, that grim sub 10% when a bystander steps in.
Which brings up the big question the sources grappled with. If it works so well, why does it only happen in, about a third to maybe 40% of cases outside a hospital?
That gap is huge. It's alarming, really. What do the sources say? Why the hesitation?
It seems to be a mix of things, a complex set of barriers. The fear is right at the top.
Fear of doing it wrong.
Yeah, fear of doing it wrong, fear of hurting the person more, even, believe it or not, fear of getting sued despite Good Samaritan laws.
Right. Those laws exist for a reason.
They do. And fear of infection, specifically with mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, that also came up as a major deterrent for people.
And it's not just fear, is it? There's also that feeling of uncertainty, lack of confidence.
Absolutely. People freeze up, they just don't feel trained, or they worry they don't remember it right. Plus, you've got the bystander effect.
Where everyone assumes someone else will do something.
Exactly. If there's a crowd, individuals hesitate.
The sources also hit on some big misconceptions, didn't they? Like thinking only doctors or nurses can do CPR.
Yes, or thinking CPR is supposed to magically restart the heart right then and there, or that you absolutely have to do the breaths.
And the research shows that's not quite right.
Not at all. Bystander CPR dramatically boosts survival and helps protect the brain. It's about keeping things going until help arrives. And maybe the biggest one, hands-only CPR. Often just as good, especially for adults with cardiac causes, and way simpler for people to learn and do.
That hands-only point seems really key.
It is, but there's another critical factor the sources highlighted, where the arrest happens.
Okay.
You're much more likely to get CPR if it happens in public, but most cardiac arrests, they actually happen at home.
Wow. That statistic about it happening mostly in homes really drives home the need for regular people, family members, maybe to be ready.
Exactly.
So, okay, we have these barriers. Fear, uncertainty, location. What are the concrete steps being recommended? What's the path forward according to these sources?
Well, it looks like a multi-pronged attack, really. First off, training. Innovative training methods are vital.
Like the hands-only CPR you mentioned.
Precisely. It's seen as a potential game changer. Simpler, faster to teach, and it tackles that mouth-to-mouth fear head-on. Getting the word out through accessible campaigns is crucial.
And putting it in schools. That seemed like a powerful strategy.
Hugely powerful. We saw that, 39 states and D.C. already require it for high school graduation. Michigan's approach was highlighted.
Why Michigan specifically?
They focus on hands-only and AED use. And critically, they don't demand a certified instructor for the basic training. That makes it much easier to scale up. And get this, they found students often go home and train their families.
That's fantastic, spreading the knowledge.
Yeah, amplifying the reach. Then there's technology.
How so?
Dispatcher-assisted CPR. So the 911 operator actually talks the caller through doing chest compressions. That alone can double bystander CPR rates.
Wow, just guiding them over the phone.
Right, and mobile apps like PulsePoint. It alerts people nearby who are trained in CPR if there's an incident, and even shows them where the nearest AED is. Other apps give you real-time CPR coaching.
AEDs. Automated external defibrillators. Another piece of the puzzle. But finding one, that's often a problem too, right?
A big problem. They can double survival chances if used quickly. But the sources, they indicated the odds of an AED being nearby and accessible when needed are startlingly low, like barely 1 in 5.
And even if one is nearby.
Right. Maybe 20–30% of those might be locked up inside a building after hours, for instance. Useless.
So it's not just about having them, but about access.
Exactly. It's an infrastructure and policy issue. The recommendation is pretty clear. We need policies for strategic placement, sure, but also for 247 accessibility in public spaces and universal registration systems, so dispatchers know exactly where every single AED is located.
Makes sense.
Plus, strengthening those Good Samaritan laws and just making people aware of the protection they offer helps reduce that fear of liability we talked about.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. What does this deep dive mean for you, the listener?
Well, the sources are pretty emphatic. Bystander CPR isn't just, a nice thing to do. It is the crucial factor.
The one thing that can truly shift the odds, double, triple survival rates, protect brain function. We saw figures like almost 80% positive neurological outcomes if someone gets CPR.
Compared to survival odds dropping something like 10% for every single minute of delay without it, every second counts.
And we've seen the barriers, the fear, the lack of confidence, even just where the arrest happens. But we've also seen the solutions, real evidence-based solutions.
Right. Things like simplified hands-only CPR training, getting it into schools everywhere, using technology like dispatcher guidance and apps, making sure AEDs are actually findable and usable, and making sure people feel legally protected when they step up.
So given that most of these emergencies happen at home, away from immediate medical help, and survival really hangs on what happens in those first few minutes before the ambulance arrives. Here's something to think about. How can you, or maybe your local community, help bridge that critical time gap? How can we make sure that chain of survival starts strong right away, no matter where or when it happens? Think about those barriers and solutions we just discussed. How might they apply right where you live?